Chacha Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Sacha Vachaya Namo Namaha Vrindayai Tulsi Devyai Priyayai Kesavashacha Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Sacha Vachaya Namo Namaha Jai Tulsi Maharani Jai. All right, cartels. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
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 Gopijana Malabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopijana Malabha Girivaradhari
Gopijana Malabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopijana Malabha Girivaradhari
Sudanandana Prajajana Ranjana
Sudanandana Prajajana Ranjana
Sudanandana Prajajana Ranjana
Sudanandana Prajajana Ranjana
Yamuna Chera Vanachari
Viva Vanachari
Yamuna Chera Vanachari
Viva Vanachari
Jairantu Madhura Punyavivati
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jairantu Madhura Punyavivati
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravatikacharya, also Tena Satyashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanana Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadwaita Gadada Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Machuradam Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Madhavai Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Budale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gaurvadi Pachari Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Tejatani. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the third canto, chapter 29, text 29. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, everybody get your devices out. Tatrapi, Sparsha, Vedipya, Pravara, Rasa, Vedana, Tibyo, Ganda, Vida, Shreshtas, Tata, okay, Shabda, Vido, Vadaha, the Trapi Sparsha Vedipya, Pravara Rasa Vedana, Tebyo Ganda Vida Shreshtas, Tata Shabda Vidovara, the Trapi Sparsha Vedipya, Pravara Rasa Vedana, Tebyo Ganda Vidha Shreshtas, Tata Shabda Vidovara, the Trapi Sparsha Vedipya, Pravara Rasa Vedana, Tebyo Ganda Vidha Shreshtas, Tata Shabda Vidovara. Okay.
Tatrapi sparsha vedibhya pravararasha vedina tebhyo gandha vida shrestha tata shabda vido varaha
Tatrapi sparsha vedibhya parvara rasa vedinaha tebhyo gandha vida shreshtas tata sabda vido vara
तत्रापि स्पर्शवेदिभ्यः प्रवरारसवेदिनः तेभ्यो गन्धविधा श्रेष्ठाः तथा शब्दविदो वरः
तत्रापि स्पर्शवेदिभ्यः प्रवरारसवेदिनः तेभ्यो गन्धविदा श्रेष्ठाः तथा शब्दविदो वरः तत्रापि स्पर्शवेदिभ्यः प्रवरारसवेदिनः तेभ्यो गन्धविदा श्रेष्ठाः तथा शब्दविदो वरः
तत्रापि स्पर्शवेदिभ्यः प्रवरारसवेदिनः तेभ्यो गन्धविदा श्रेष्ठाः तथा शब्दविदो वरः
तत्रापि स्पर्शवेदिभ्यः तेभ्यो गन्धविदा श्रेष्ठाः तथा शब्दविदो वरः
All right. Tatra, among them. Api, moreover. Do you want to use the microphone? Or should I use the microphone? Asparsha Vedabhya, then those perceiving touch. Pravara, better. Rasa Vedana, those perceiving taste. Tebhya, than them. Gandha Vida, those perceiving smell. Shrestha, better. Tata, than them. Shabda Vida, those perceiving sound. Vara, better. So translation, among the living entities who have developed sense perception, those who have developed the sense of taste are better than those who have developed only the sense of touch. Better than them are those who have developed the sense of smell, and better still are those who have developed the sense of hearing. Very bold. So purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Although Westerners accept that Darwin first expounded the doctrine of evolution, the science of anthropology is not new. The development of the evolutionary process was known long before from the Bhagavatam, which was written 5,000 years ago. There are records of the statements of Kapila Muni, who was present almost in the beginning of the creation. This knowledge has existed since Vedic time, and all these sequences are disclosed in Vedic literature. The theory of gradual evolution or anthropology is not new to the Vedas. It is said here that amongst the trees, there are also evolutionary processes. The different kinds of trees have touch perception. It is said that better than the trees are the fish, because fish have developed a sense of taste. Better than the fish are the bees, who have developed the sense of smell, and better than them are the serpents, because serpents have developed a sense of hearing. In the darkness of night, a snake can find its eatables simply by hearing the frog's very pleasant cry. The snake can understand, "There is the frog," and he captures the frog simply because of its sound vibration. This example is sometimes given for persons who vibrate sounds simply for death. One may have a very nice tongue that can vibrate sound like the frogs, but that kind of vibration is simply calling death. The best use of the tongue and of sound vibration is to chant Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
That will protect one from the hands of cruel death. So again, several different subject matters here. Tatrapi sparsha vedipya from para rasa vedana. Tebyo ganda vida shreshtas tatha shabda vido vara. So Om Ganat Tivanandasya Gananjana Shakya Chakshur Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurve Namaha. So there's several subjects touched upon here. One is the controversial subject of evolution. And I know many devotees, and especially the youth, get bewildered because no youth here anymore. There's the very youth, but no medium youth.
No, he's hiding one.
Oh, Keshav's there.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the youth. And then you got the very old. So, it's a controversial subject because the youth go to the university or the regular school and they're taught about evolution, Darwinian evolution. And certainly you can see there is a progression of living entities according to the different time sequences. I mean, that's not something that's controversial, something we disagree with. That there's, at a certain point is only tribolites. You've heard of that before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These are these interesting creatures that, they just look really cool. They're in the water and they swim around. And but the interesting thing about their whole appearance is that they appeared rather quickly. In fact, too quickly for the explanation of the trial or what is it called? Oh, genetic evolution. Too quickly for that. In a very small, like, time sequence they appeared. So there's this statement there, and I forget it's a anyway. I forget what the anthropologists or the archaeologists state about that particular time period. In any case, we do see like a gradual appearance of different living entities, and we just like become bewildered by that. We think that this happened because of the survival of the fittest, Darwinian theory. And of course, we're not against survival of the fittest, because we actually see, even amongst human beings, people who are more fit than others, they survive. Like people eat a very terrible diet, they don't survive. And people eat my diet, they tend to survive more. So anyway, so we see certain evidence like that, but when we examine the evidence, we see that the changes or the apparent appearances of different species didn't occur because of a mutation or genetic changes, but they occurred because of someone, designing everything. Obviously there's the design hypothesis and then the other hypothesis, which generally the anthropologists and archaeologists talk about. So, without getting into further details, even the idea that the first cell came about by chance is something that was so improbable and it's been worked out by mathematicians and scientists that it could never have occurred. One cell, because one cell, or even one protein molecule, for example, if you have protein, and I don't know if you know what a protein molecule is, but even a small protein molecule is composed of maybe 150 amino acid sequences. And there's different, what we call amino acids, and some people say there's 20, some people say there's 21 different amino acids. It's not important, the number. And they're put in certain sequences to make a protein functional. What do I mean by functional? Well, proteins are functional based upon their shape. And their shape comes about because of two factors. One factor is that the repulsion and attraction between the different molecules and atoms within their structure. So then they have a certain shape. Just like in a machine, you have gears, right?
Yeah.
And the gears have a certain shape, and the gears have to mesh with the other gears, and if they don't mesh with the other gears, their shape is slightly off. The machine doesn't work. So you have multiple items within any machine, even a small machine, was the example sometimes given, that those who propagate the life comes from life is the mousetrap. In a mousetrap, you just have like 4 or 5 different items. You got the spring, you got the lever, you got the piece of wood, and all of them have to be functioning together for the mousetrap to be functional itself. And so that's called irreducible complexity. That's the technical word used. So anyway, all these proteins, which are called functional proteins, have to be in a certain form, and to be in a certain form, they have to have the sequence of amino acids. And for that particular sequence to have occurred accidentally is so improbable that for all intents and purposes, it's impossible. Of course, scientists don't say impossible. They use the word improbable. When you have the probability of 10 to the negative, 500 of something happening within the space of the whole universe and within the time sequence of the whole universe, however many billions of years old the universe is, that thing is considered to be so improbable that for all intents and purposes, it's impractical. So in other words, even for one functional protein molecule to have come about by chance is so improbable that it's actually impossible. And what to speak of several, because one is not going to do you any good. You got to have a lot together. If you go into the cell, you'll see there's so many different mechanisms there. There's the protein pump there. Proton pump, not protein. The proton pump there. You have the little kinesin things that are walking around the cell, transporting the cellular garbage and bringing things from one part of the cell to the other. I mean, it's just incredible what's happening in one cell. And that's just one cell amongst billions and trillions of cells in your body or in this body of any living entity. So you see that it's actually impossible, and that's not a scientific word, but improbable, for life to have come about by chance. And it's also improbable, so improbable that it's impossible, for one species to have evolved into another species. However, within a particular species, you can have variety that occurs due to what we call survival of the fittest, or selection. The environment selecting it. For example, the example given in your textbooks, not mine, is like the black and the white moths in the UK. That in the UK, before they had industrial pollution, which is coal, which you like to supply to the rest of the world from Australia, then the moths were white. And so when they started to have all the coal being burnt and the blackness and everything like that, suddenly the moths tended to evolve, for lack of a better word, into black moths, because they were this way they were protected, because they would fit in with the environment. The environment was black, because of all the soot in the air, so they fit in. So it appeared, and they were in one sense evolving or changing due to the circumstances, or some people explain it was due to the environment favoring one particular type of moth over another type of moth. So whether it was a change but this happens, small changes within the same structure can occur due to environmental exposure. That can definitely occur. Whereas to go from one species to another, or to develop a completely new item, like the eye or something like that, is not going to occur by chance, because it's so improbable. It is actually impossible. You understand that? So, anyway, so Prabhupada considered this preaching against the evolutionary theory, or Darwin's theory, to be extremely important, because this theory is actually atheistic theory. That everything comes about by chance, life came about by chance, there's no need of God, the belief in God is just a crutch that primitive people have had for many years, and we don't need to have that. And you'll find many atheists that preach like that too. So that's one topic that's being described here in this particular verse. Of course, Prabhupada doesn't get into the anti-evolutionary propaganda here. Another topic, which is more important, is the importance of hearing. And that, of course, many living entities can hear to one extent or another, but the human beings have more faculty for not only hearing, but for understanding the philosophy. As described by Prahlad Maharaj, Durlabham Manasa Janma Khara Dhruvam Artanam. We have taken a human birth after great difficulty going through the different species of life, and we should take advantage of this human birth. And Prahlad Maharaj says we should take advantage of this human birth by Komaram Acharet Pragyo Dharman Bhagavatam Niha. That's the first part of the same verse. And then Durlabham Manasa Dhruvam Tada Artanam. So he says one should take advantage and not waste any time. And the way he expresses this is Komaram Acharet Pragyo. From the very time you're a little Kumara, or Kumari, as the case may be, Acharat, you should accept or take up this Bhagavad Dharma. In other words, just to summarize that means not to waste a moment. Because the story goes with Prahlad Maharaj that his friends were actually making excuses as far as their time is concerned. They said to Prahlad Maharaj when he was attempting to teach them about Krishna consciousness, they said, we're only kids, we're only small kids. And he said, basically, now you have this particular excuse. So we all have excuses regardless of how old we are. You know, some of you may say, well, I have to make money. I can't take up Krishna consciousness. Others may say, I'm too old. Others may say, I'm going to university, whatever. Others may say, whatever, my husband doesn't let me. So there's all these different excuses. So Prahlad Maharaj tried to deal with these excuses by stating that right now you're saying you're kids. Later on you're going to say you're youth. Later on, you know, and he goes through this, he says that 10% of your life is wasted being kids. And I forget the exact percentage. A certain percentage as youth, certain percentage when you're married, certain percentage when you're old. And he goes through all these percentages, and somehow or other it turns out to be, I think, more than 100%. And he also says 50% when you're sleeping. So you add in all these percentages, it comes out to more than 100%. So you really have a lot of excuses to not utilize time properly, to utilize this human form of life properly. So Krishna consciousness, this is the ultimate point in the verse, that we should actually understand that we have a higher priority and higher faculties than these other living entities. And so we should be very careful about utilizing our time, and also understand that we have responsibility for all these living entities, because even though they can't chant or they can't perform devotional service, being in these different species of life, we can actually engage them by the loud chanting of the whole Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Anyway, so these are some points. So we'll keep it short. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Maharaj, I was thinking today is bit of off chapter.
Yeah.
Today is Akshay Tritiya, and then when I was reading, yesterday, sorry, and then Parshuram was born today, and then.
Oh, it's Parshuram's appearance day.
Yeah, and then Bhakti Lal's feet will gonna be sewn today. Even Jagannath Ratha, they start decorating all those things happening today.
A new outfit for it.
Yeah. Do we have to fast? How do we we keep fasting? Because I was not able to get those information. Just sorry, it is out of topic, but
no, we don't fast today.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry.
Oh,
I think we have enough fast days. Today is the appearance day of Parshuram.
Yes.
Wow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Akshay
Friday.
Today.
Depends which calendar.
Oh. Okay, so tomorrow we'll give class about Parshuram. How about that?
When? Tomorrow?
Chandan Yatra starts from tomorrow.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
So it's tomorrow. So it's Parshuram, Chandan Yatra.
Yeah, and then Bhakti in Vrindavan, the feet.
Yeah, Bhakti Bihari.
Yeah, his feet will gonna be sewn as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Rath Khan will start building it tomorrow.
Yeah.
They start building the cart tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. So any other questions or comments? Keep it short. Yeah. Haribol.
Just so related to what we were saying about these different species. Yesterday, remember you were saying that when you come down from the spiritual world, you come in the human.
When you first,
or Lord Brahma. Or something.
when you first,
Yeah.
get immersed in the illusory energy of the Lord, you come down to something, at least as a human being.
Yeah.
Prabhupada mentioned several times appearing as Lord Brahma.
So does that mean that none of the other variegated species, like imagine coming down for the first time,
Yeah.
there's nothing else there, no trees, nothing
No,
else.
everybody's coming down at different times.
Yeah. the first person that would have come.
No, that's not necessarily true.
Okay.
When you're talking about the creation of the universe, right?
Yeah, but I know it's a cycle. It happens. Keeps.
Yeah, so all right. So let me unpack this.
Yeah.
So you're talking about when the universe gets created,
Yes.
when Mahavishnu breathes out, Lord Brahma enters in the universe.
Yeah.
Why are there other? Your question is why are there other species other than the human beings at that particular point? Is
That's
that
right.
the question?
Yes. If that's, yeah.
The reason is there was a previous
Yes.
creation.
And then-
Mahavishnu, the super soul, remembers
Yeah.
the karma of the person who previously was in whatever species of life they were,
Yeah.
and they get put into there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the time of creation is not the beginning
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the soul or the creation of the soul. The soul has been on a long sojourn in this mature world through many other creations.
But if you traced it back to maybe the original time, that
No,
it
there's no
started-
original
there's no
time.
original time.
You're thinking materially. There's no original time.
Always been like that.
Yeah, time. Yeah, because you're thinking in a linear fashion, where things don't function in a linear fashion. Everything is circular. Even the sign of infinity is actually just continuous, not beginning
Yeah.
and an end. It's just like
So that means there was not a time where all the variety of
there were times when the variety was not manifest, but there's always been a material world, either in an unmanifest or a manifest state. So this has been going on since time immemorial. Because that's a funny expression. Immemorial means something you can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's been going on eternally. That's a better way to express it. And there's always going to be living entities in lower species of life, higher, because what he's thinking is that if he's born on the earth planet, he's the first person who comes down. Where are the vegetables? That's really what he's thinking right now.
So many species within us as well.
Yes.
All the species become manifest. I mean, even though there appears to be a time sequence in their manifestation, I mean, even according to the archaeologists, but all the species are present at least somewhere in the universe.
Yeah.
Even if on the Earth planet,
Yeah.
and we can't deny the scientific evidence, that there is a sequence of appearance of different living entities on the Earth planet.
Yeah. So, sorry, does it also mean that, we know that from Mahavishnu all the bubbles are coming out, all the universes.
Yeah.
Is it still happening? Is it still breathing out and those more creation?
Yeah.
Still happening? Yeah. So he's still in that exhaling
When he's still in his exhaling period,
period, yeah.
and then when he inhales, we go within him.
So the process of creation is...
It's a long
somewhere
period of
it's
time.
happening,
It's
yeah.
continual.
Yeah.
Continual creation.
Wow. And therefore...
So that-
destruction.
And also things happen, even on the Earth planet, in cycles. Like sometimes you have different ice ages on the Earth planet, or flooding. Like there has been one person, it's some scholar, who traced out the time of of Krishna leaving the planet and Dwarka getting flooded by the sequence, by the evidence, the historical evidence of when the earth was flooded.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the earth was flooded,
Yeah.
and they can actually see that's why Dwarka went below the ocean, went into the ocean.
Yeah. Understood.
It's very complicated.
Yeah.
So I'm asking too many questions today. Maharaj, I'm just a bit confused, within my family environment, my brother and my brother-in-law, they do fast on special occasions, but they eat meat and everything, and then I try to praise them, and then I asked them, I told them about the sins and all these things, but they answer we haven't done any sin, and then we do fast when we need to fast, but we're not gonna give up. And then they do listen a Krishna mantra every day, like even they're
Right.
sleeping, they play on the background. And then when I was reading Bhagavad Gita, it says like whoever heard this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, their sin will be gone. But they keep doing those things like does really like their sin will be gone, and then they keep
No, because they're using those things. That's called sinning on the strength of chanting. They're using their particular religious activities, not only the chanting, to sort of justify their sinning. It's like the example you can give them. It's like a kundra sochara, which means the bathing of an elephant. Like this is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the discussion between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami is asking, Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukadeva Goswami, how can the souls be freed from the punishments that were previously described in the 5th canto? And Shukadeva Goswami first, in order to test Maharaj Parikshit, gives the wrong answer. He says prayaschitta. So what they're doing is prayaschitta.
Yeah.
Prayaschitta means they commit some sins, then they atone. Or it's the same thing as the Christians do with the confession. Once a week they go and confess. And I always give the example of this movie I saw, unfortunately, before I joined the movement. It was called Never on Sunday. And it was a story of, a lady who had a very old occupation. Some people say it's the world's oldest occupation, if you understand what I mean. But Sunday she was pious and went to the church and confessed. So Krishna will not excuse them. They will have to suffer for their activities, because they're trying to take advantage of their atonement or ritualistic activities, and their ritualistic activities have no value at all.
Right.
It's called sinning on the strength of chanting, or sinning on the strength of atonement. So anyway, going back to Shukadeva Goswami. So Shukadeva Goswami presented this wrong explanation to his disciple, Parikshit Maharaj, just to test him. And Parikshit Maharaj rejected. He said, this is like an elephant bathing, because an elephant goes bathing, and he throws dirt on himself, and he bathes and throws dirt on himself, so it doesn't work. And then ultimately, the only prayaschitta, the proper prayaschitta, is this an interesting verse in the 6th canto. Tasmat sankirtanam Vishnu Jagamangalam Nasam Mahatam Abhikoravya Vijakantika Nishrakam, is the chanting of the Lord's holy name, but not using the chanting as a means or an excuse to continue doing sinful activities. So, tell them they're rascals.
No, Maharaj, it's
No,
very,
you can't do that.
yeah. Well, we go to their place, but they are another one. Although they eat meat and everything, whenever we go to their houses, they cook prasadam and then they offer. I offer them, and then without no onion, no garlic, and then they got their all those pots vegetarian.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, they do.
So
At least they do those things, and then they make prasadam for us differently. They put it separate, and when we eat first, then they start eating their own food and all.
in front of you.
Yeah, and I just remember Prabhupada, and I was he was putting his prasadam in his trays where there was meat and everything. It's okay, Haribol. I'm at least. And then whenever we go to my relatives, we told them in advance we're coming.
Yeah.
And then they cook all no onion, no garlic, everything in a nice way.
Good.
And then I was thinking, and then they keep asking, what is going to happen if you don't eat onion and garlic? I said, look, onion and garlic is this. I try to explain them, and it's how can you survive? And it's look, we're surviving. And
How can you survive?
Yeah.
Anyway, crazy. Okay, another question, Krishna Keshav.
So Gurudev, you're explaining about the black moths and white moths.
Yeah.
So I want to understand the metamorphosis of the caterpillar to butterfly, the whole process.
Yeah.
So how do we relate that to? So is it acceptable from a Vedic scriptural change of body? Can we say that because the
Yeah, within the same species. I mean, you're changing bodies too. Like if you look at an embryo in the womb,
yeah.
They have to go through different stages. They look like fish. They look like whatever.
Yeah. But the cells in obviously the caterpillar to butterfly, so the features and everything.
They're programmed, genetically programmed,
Right. Okay.
to make that change. That's all.
Okay.
It's a program. It's a computer program. The genes, the way the genes, the DNA and RNA, just to be precise,
Yeah.
arranged is like a very, very sophisticated computer programming. You do computer programming. So have you ever seen a computer program that it has assembled itself?
No.
What happens when you have a computer program and you just like juggle some of the
The code. Yeah.
The
that's
code.
what- yeah.
then it's not.
No
It doesn't,
education.
it's not that you get a new program. All of a sudden, you juggle the computer code, and you get like some fantastic new program out of it. In fact, there's evidence of something called. I mean, you really want to get technical. Something called de-evolution.
Okay.
That 99.99% of all mutations actually are harmful to the living entity.
All this mutation.
And after a period of time, there's some calculation. There's actually an interesting book that the name of the book is Darwin Devolves. I don't know if anyone's read that book. I've read that book. Obviously, I've done some research in that area. And it goes into the details of how, after some time, the human species will actually devolve,
Okay.
not evolve.
Yeah. Default. Okay. Yeah.
Of course, probably we will evolve in terms of the AI taking over and killing all of us. That I do not doubt.
Yeah.
The AI will think, what do we need these flesh and blood creatures for? I saw one cartoon once, it was very interesting, that there were a bunch of AI robots in a museum, and in that museum there was a brain in a glass case, and it said, "Oh, here's the original processor."
Oh Krishna.
Anyone else has seen that cartoon?
I can figure it out.
No, you can think of that one not gonna happen.
No, I don't think that'll happen. But the point is, I mean, if you look, and that actually very much fits in. The time sequence of devolvement was calculated, and it pretty much fits in with the Kali Yuga calculations over 430 some odd thousand years.
Oh wow.
The people are getting, and I can see that even in the space of my lifetime, people are getting uglier and uglier. Sorry about that. You young folks with the white hair and everything. So, no, but it's scientific evidence that we are getting more and more mutations.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, especially with all the radiation now and the pollution in the environment, I mean, even the incidence of cancer have increased dramatically over the last 50 years. Now they're suggesting that women who are 40 should get the mammography. Previously, it was 60, because so many people are getting cancer. So this causes genetic defects. And when there's genetic defects, it's not that you get better. Oh, I got a genetic defect. So now, I have a superpower. Just like they were, yes, yeah. I didn't want to say that. Another person at Maya there. Well, there was this one movie where people were mutants and they got special powers. But where do we experience that? If someone has a birth defect or a genetic defect, have we ever seen someone with special powers?
That wasn't a birth defect.
What?
Spider-Man wasn't a birth defect.
No,
Spider-Man.
That's only because he got bit by a spider.
radioactive.
He said Spider-Man.
No, I mean, all these things are
How
just...
about you, Gurudev? He.
Yeah.
Roman said Spider-Man.
Excellent.
I mean, all these things are simply the figment of imagination of some writer. But not, things don't get better by mutation. As far as the white moth and the black moth, both populations were already existing, and one got favored. And so, if you're a black moth, and let's say your children become white for some reason or other. I mean, just like in India,
Yeah.
you find some people who are completely white. They're albinos.
Yeah.
That's due to a genetic.
It
They've lost, that dark gene,
pigmentation.
the pigment,
Yeah.
because of genetic. It's a genetic disease.
Yeah.
It's not that they were, they didn't get enough sunshine when they were young. It's because it's a genetic disease. It's a mutation. So they're not going to go, their children don't go back the other way. I don't know if that's a recessive or a dominant gene for albinoism.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Yeah.
So, if you get two albino people, they're going to have albino children. You see this in India. I mean, I'm just shocked sometimes seeing
Yeah.
But that's a genetic disease.
Yeah.
They've lost that programming for that pigment, the computer programming for the pigment. And no matter how much you juggle it again, that programming is not going to come back. That was the point. The computer is code. I mean, the DNA is code. And even the atheists say that it is so complex code that it's incredible and nobody can conceive of how that code came about by chance. And it's not only is it code, it's nested code.
Yeah. It is nested. Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Those of you know computer programming.
Program. Yeah. It's nested.
Nested within nested within nested.
Extremely complex.
You can't. Even human beings have trouble making nested code.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Thank you.
yeah.
I was just thinking about this shloka. I think there is a bit of a resemblance, I would say, like establishing the Shabda Pramana to be higher.
Yeah, the most important.
Like the Prachaksha Pramana, Anumana Pramana.
Prachaka, yeah.
Here it is again re-stressing the importance of hearing.
Yeah, Shabda over Prachaksha.
Mm.
Yeah, so, yeah, of course that, of course Darwin is primarily going on what Prachaksha, what he's perceiving. And they're also not only Prachaksha, he's in the inductive process, speculative process. Yeah. So, any other questions or comments? Yeah.
Gurudev, I remember you were saying one time that everything is a cycle. So does that mean that there's one universe which keeps getting destroyed, or are there many universes that get
Every
destroyed
universe gets destroyed and then created again
Okay.
at a certain point. So just like your body will be recycled. Because when one dies, either you're recycled as ashes, or you're recycled as worm stool, if you're buried. So there's recycling. So we believe in recycling.
We are all made of recycled materials.
What?
We are all recycled materials.
Yeah, we're all recycled material. At one point, every part of your body is the part of the body of a tiger or or cockroach. Yeah.
In the partial annihilation, does
Yeah.
the universes get destroyed as well?
Not the whole universe, just the lower planets. Lower planets get destroyed. Okay, I think it's time to end. Thank you very much. All glories to His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada.